Christian, we've spoken about whether or not they can beat Forge in Hamilton. What do Atletico Ottawa need to do in this game for that to happen?
Well, I think the last few weeks they've been good. And I
Mhm.
know what I mean. What I mean by that is you're still always frustrated in the conversion of chances. And I don't think for a team that well equipped, they probably score enough goals. But I think that when you do the analysis on this team and you look at the numbers and the eye test, I think there's certain aspects of the team that is, I think, turned around a little bit. And it starts for me with work rate and defensive capabilities from the front. And that's really the only position that Carlos Gonzalez has been asked about who's playing there. Right. I think we now know we can pick the team next week. Right. We know Ingham, despite battling with Yesley earlier season, undisputed number one. Right. We know what the back three is going to be like. Singh's not playing. It's Walker, it's Didic, it's Delamo. And I like the balance of that. Right. The fullbacks, I think, have been excellent. Mora and Debrian, I thought was very, very good against York. They bring real width and they can get forward, but their defensive one-on-ones in duels and the tenacity and the physicality that they bring. And then the midfield's working, right? Sissoko brings a little bit more legs than Zapatero, who can come on if you win in a game later. They've got Aparicio and Bassett in the half spaces. And so we know that model in which Carlos Gonzalez has played the system for a reason to get the best out of those players, in particular, Ollie Bassett, is working. Bassett was excellent against York as well. And then the front two, I end with them because I think they're the most important. We've seen different versions in all three games. We've seen Salter and Tabla, right? We've seen Salter and Del Campo, and we've seen Del Campo and Tabla. But that game yesterday, he didn't take them two off until like a Tabla came off like in the 86th minute. And if you do a deep dive, Carlos Gonzalez always removes one of his strikers earlier than that. That says everything that what I was watching, the work rate from the front that those two put in, pressing, defensive, without the ball, consistently hounding York's team as they try to play out from the back, getting on Elijah Adekubi, which they knew was a really important part of it. I thought Del Campo was great, and I know Mitchell called him the player of the match for a reason. I thought he was excellent, but Tabla showed that work rate too. So, Mitch, I guess I'll come to you. With them two, they've got to do the same with Forge. Forge are going to have a lot of the ball. They've got to hunt and they've got to work. And I think that if them two are able to do that, what you've got is when you turn it over and when you've got the ball, you've got people who can finish. You've got Del Campo in a good headspace. Tablet can finish Bassett. We know they've got players if they can get in those positions. So that makes them dangerous for me.
Yeah, for sure. We know, especially at home, Forge is going to be the club that wants to hold the most of the ball and build out of the back and all those things they usually do at Tim Hortons Field. So absolutely. I mean, Del Campo, very similar in some ways to Tobias Warshevsky, a player who obviously costs Forge, is someone who's never stops working up top, and you always have to worry about him because he's a front three of his own sometimes for Atletico Ottawa and the way he tracks and moves and creates chances for others and himself. So yeah, and then when you have, obviously we've been waiting all season for the offensive Balu Tabla to come through, but like you said, that was one of his best matches in terms of, his work rate and what he was able to create in that game. And if he scores that one on Vincencini late in the game, he's the hero really for Atletico Ottawa in this game. So there's a lot to like about their front two going into this game. And like you said, just the consistency of lineup they've been able to find, which is so important at this time of year.